Dune 1 recap. We're going to be doing that right now. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with Us. I'm JD. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified each and every time we go live. But right now, we're going to be recapping the first Dune movie and talking about what we thought of it. I would love to know what you thought of it too. So let's do it. All right, we're going to jump into this right now.
And a man of recaps. This is Dune, Part 1. On the desert planet of Arrakis is a rare substance called spice, which is necessary for interstellar travel, making it the most valuable resource in the galaxy.
Every time we do something like this, I stop the recap really quickly, and I always end up getting into what it makes me giggle. But every time I hear the word spice, it makes me giggle. And the fact that this stuff is just extracted from the sand of this planet and it does all the crazy things that it does, like, that's pretty cool. That's a good basis to start your sci-fi adventure, I guess.
Source in the galaxy. So the Galactic Empire has been occupying Arrakis, which entails oppressing the locals. It's very much an oil in the Middle East situation. Our story begins with Timothée Chalamet as
and one parallel that I know I have drawn, and I'm sure everybody else has drawn, is that Timothée Chalamet's character in this story is pretty much an allegory for Jesus Christ and Christianity, and how Christianity was sort of spread upon the people of America and other places during the in the past. So I got those vibes heavy during the second movie, especially like some of the decisions that they made and some of the things that they wanted to do, and like sort of spreading the gospel in that movie. So that was interesting. And I always find it interesting when you have a movie or a TV show or some form of entertainment that pays close, like almost homage to the actual reality and the actual past, which this definitely does.
Paul Atreides, son of the noble Atreides house. His father, Duke Leto, is a real good guy. The Emperor has just put them in charge of Arrakis, which should be a very good thing, but it's maybe a bad thing. The Emperor's jealous House Atreides is getting too strong, so he's sending them to Arrakis and hoping they fail. Before they leave, Paul's mom wakes him up for a secret midnight meeting with his
the Bene Gesserit. Now, that's one of the things that I'm going to have to, it's going to take me a little time to get all the names of the characters and all of the houses, all the little things about this show that are new and fresh to me. It's going to take a little time, but I promise you I will get there, and then I will become an expert. Not so much, but I'll know enough to keep talking about the show.
Group of witch women with psychic-like powers, including the voice where they can make you follow commands. She's like, yo, Paul, put your hand in this box, and if you take it out, I'll kill ya. The box hits him.
Yeah, that voice thing that they do where they're able to command people to do things just through their voice, pretty cool.
With intense pain, but she has to see if he can mind over matter. But Paul's mom has trained him well with the famous phrase, fear is the mind killer, which means, don't give in to fear, I can master my own emotions. They had to test Paul to see if he's their chosen one from the Bene Gesserit's millennia-long scheme. It's a complicated situation, more on this later. So Paul leaves his homeworld full of nice cool water for the deserts of Arrakis, which kinda suck. There's no water out in the deserts. You gotta wear these still suits, which recycle your sweat so you can drink it. They hop in their cool dragonfly helicopter,
which is awesome technology if you think about it, and you're on a desert planet. I know one of the things that I learned in one of the Dune recaps is that they do not believe in any sort of technological advances through computers like AI, those types of things. So they have learned to become self-sufficient on things that humans can produce. So if you have the spice is able to give humans, if you take enough of it, almost the power of a computer, like the mental power of a computer. So that's how they kind of get around that.
Helicopters to go see.
And I wonder, and I know that the show that we're going to watch tonight is a prequel, and if I don't know how far in the past it was where they did have artificial intelligence and robots, but there was an incident that occurred with one of the robots where I guess it killed someone who was pretty important. And then from that point on, they just stopped having any sort of interactions with artificial intelligence or robots. So I wonder if that's going to be covered in the series, or if that happened way before the series even takes place. So just food for thought. Like I said, if you have a comment on this recap or anything going on in Dune Prophecy tonight, let me know. Drop it down.
How the spice is harvested. It's a dangerous operation because the harvesters attract the sandworms. They're prepared for this, they just fly away, but today there's a malfunction. So Paul goes down to help evacuate the workers, where he's hit with his first wave of spice. Now, spice is not spaceship fuel, it's actually a hallucinogen. Yes, in some ways technology is very advanced, but in other ways not, because they don't like computers. Instead, they like using the human mind, like mentats who have
So if I roll my eyes like that, basically my mind can become a computer. Just so you know.
be really good at math. So with no computers to calculate hyperspace jumps, they rely on guild navigators who snort a bunch of spice and have visions of the future of which route is safe. And
Snorting
Paul is
spice.
especially sensitive to spice. He has his first vision of Zendaya, and maybe they make out, or maybe she kills him. But now's no time to be tripping out, because a sandworm is coming. And just how big are these sandworms? Incomprehensibly large. So to survive on this world, House Atreides will need to cultivate desert power. And no one knows the desert better than the locals, the Fremen, who have cool blue eyes from exposure to spice. They have a very unique culture, like spitting is polite. Thank you for sharing your body's water with us. Duke Leto's like, hey, I'm gonna change things around here. No more oppressing you, I want us to be friends. But this guy's like, I'll believe it when I see it. The former ruler of Arrakis was House Harkonnen. Real bad people who oppressed the Fremen hard. Baron Harkonnen didn't want to give it up, because he who controls
Yeah, the Harkonnen, not really a fan of them, especially through the first movie, and we'll get into some of the spoilers that take place in the second movie, but that kind of changes the way you view them. But each of my viewpoints on the Harkonnen is not very positive at this point.
spice controls the universe. But he made a secret deal with the Emperor, who's loaning him some of his elite troops, the Sardaukar, and they launch a sneak attack on House Atreides. Now, they don't use guns in this world either. They're all about hand-to-hand combat. It's because they all have energy shields that deflect anything fast like a bullet. So everyone trains in knife fighting, where you can get in close for a good slow hit. So House Atreides is overwhelmed, and Baron Harkonnen's retaken Arrakis. He's a real chunky guy, but he uses anti-gravity tech to float around real creepy-like. He had an inside man here, the Atreides doctor, but he only helped the Harkonnens because they kidnapped his wife, and so he left Duke Leto a secret. Yes, it's the Poison Tooth sneak attack, but Baron Harkonnen survives with a nice healing oil bath, and by the way, his nephew is Dave Bautista. Meanwhile, Paul and his mom were captured. They knew to gag
I like how he just threw in there his nephew is Dave Bautista.
her, but she had been training Paul in the voice, and he's able to do it well enough. They escape, but they have no home to go back to. But there is one Atreides survivor, their best fighter, Duncan Idaho. He picks up Paul and his mom, and they seek shelter with the
Who's Jason Momoa, by the way?
local scientist who's
And he
trying to
looks weird
terraform
without a
Arrakis
beard
to
or a
not be a
mustache.
desert. But the Sardaukar find them, so Duncan Idaho makes his epic last stand, takes all these guys out, but eventually he's killed. But he bought time for Paul and Mom to escape, and to avoid Harkonnen forces, they fly into the sandstorm. Paul realizes he has to turn the engines off and let the sandstorm just carry him. They make it to safety, but not really, cause they're still in the middle of the desert, and humans walking causes rhythmic vibrations that will attract the sandworms. So they gotta do the weird sandworm walk, where you walk without rhythm and mimic the natural sounds of the desert. Unfortunately, they don't quite get it right, and soon a sandworm's coming for them. But they make it to a rock just in time, so the sandworm stops, and Paul stares this massive thing down. Now they're found by the Fremen. This is one of their leaders, Stilgar. They're not very friendly to outsiders, so Paul and his mom have to defend themselves. One of the Fremen gets the drop on Paul. Yes, it's Zendaya, Paul's dream girl. In his dream visions, they always seem to be in love, but for now, she's not impressed. Now, to get his honor back, the Fremen Paul disarmed has to challenge him to single combat, and Paul
I also like how whenever there's a problem with these folks, like not like a little problem, but when there's an actual serious problem, they fight it out. Like, and not big war fight. It's like one on one for like all the marbles. So like this fight that we're gonna see here, there's a fight at the end of the second movie that takes place, and it was basically for all the marbles at that point. And I can respect that. Like if it came down to 1v1, like who would our country select to represent us? That makes me real nervous to think that we would have to do something like that.
But for now, she's not impressed. Now, to get his honor back, the Fremen Paul disarmed has to challenge him to single combat. And Paul's had visions of this guy too, where he becomes his good friend and mentor. So Paul uses his knife fight skills to make this guy yield, then they can become friends. But yielding is not allowed. This has to be a fight to the death. So Paul has no choice but to kill this guy, and he realizes his visions are not set in stone. So the general plan is to get off-world if they can expose that the Emperor took sides against a noble
Crazy part is that if you have visions but they're unreliable, like what's the use of having them? Those visions can only cause, I wouldn't say discord, they can only cause you to doubt yourself, because if you can't trust them, if you have them, you don't know if it's true or if it's false, like, but in the back of your head you're always going to be thinking about it. So that would kind of suck.
Against a noble house, they can unite the other noble houses against him and avenge their House Atreides. But now Paul's like, actually, I gotta stay here. My road leads into the desert. Earlier, Paul had his biggest vision of an epic battle where the
Now this part in this battle is dope. This was what really sold me on the first movie. Was watching this and seeing him do his thing, and then like they did the slow dramatic helicopter or the dragonfly like little thing fly off. Like, dude, that was dope. That was dope. And I was expecting that to sort of happen in the second movie, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe we need to wait to the third movie or any sort of future movies. But yeah, this definitely sold me on the first movie, was seeing this scene.
united against Imperial forces, and Paul was leading them. So that's his best plan to avenge his father. But the vision went on to show him leading that army of Fremen across the galaxy in an endless bloody war, so he wants to avoid that part if possible. But why would the Fremen follow Paul anyway? Well, this goes back to the Bene Gesserit Chosen One thing. 1,000 years ago, they seeded this prophecy of an off-world Messiah, and Paul seems to fit all the signs. So Paul and his mom are heading off to a Fremen city, a siege. But it's a long walk.
It's so crazy that you find out later on that the Bene Gesserit were the ones who sort of started this myth or um almost like a cult slash religion based on this chosen one coming. And the messed up part, and like I said earlier in the show, is that this is definitely an allegory for Jesus Christ, and a lot of the same sort of, this is the chosen one. He's able to do these miracles. He's able to bring us and to eventually bring peace to our land. Like, it's crazy. I love stuff like that though, because it's not just about what you're seeing, it's that deeper meaning behind it too.
The long walk through the desert, the Fremen have a faster way to travel. They frickin' ride on the sandworms. And that's where we leave Paul Atreides for now. We'll pick up there in Dune Part 2. If you liked this
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I really enjoyed that first movie. And from everything that I could see, like once you hit that end point there and you realize that they can ride those sandworms, like you realize that the Fremen have like a serious control and connection with their planet and the creatures of their planet. So it's not like it's just like, oh, this is where I'm going to use for transportation and it also, kills a bunch of people. Like, no, there's a connection there. And the fact that they were strong enough to tame those is where they get their strength, that they want to do the right thing for their planet. And just knowing that, like, I vibe with what they're going for. Now the Harkonnen, that's completely different. They look like they're just your basic generic people who are out for galactic rule and domination. So does that change with the second movie? Does that change later on? Will that change with Dune Prophecy? I don't know, but that's where we're at right now. So thanks for checking this out, this breakdown of the first Dune movie. If you like what you see, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and stay tuned for tons more Dune stuff. Every week, we will be here watching the show live. So if you can't watch it and you want to watch along with me, be my guest. And subscribe first, though. I'm JD. Peace.